We're just getting breaking news. The Indian Air Force has shot down a Pakistani drone in Avantipora in South Kashmir. Remember, there's an Air Force base there. And remember, it's South Kashmir where it all started. In a way, with what happened in Pahalgam a couple of weeks ago, Pakistan's escalatory spiral began from that terror attack of the TRF, offshoot of the Lashkar-e-Toiba. It began from there. And now you're seeing today Pakistan, its drones targeting or tried to hit the Avantipora Air Force Base in South Kashmir, and that has been responded to by the Indian Air Force. So clearly, Gaurav, compared to yesterday, where remember the Pakistanis tried to go to Jaisalmer, Jammu city, there have been many more new places along the in the border areas that these Pakistani drones have been used.
Oh, absolutely. And this one has been able to come deep inside. Avantipur is South Kashmir. So all the way from the line of control, crossing through central Kashmir, reaching South Kashmir and taken down just close to the Avantipur Air Base, which is a very sensitive air base as far as the Indian Air Force is concerned. It just goes on to indicate, as the government pointed out, they're using the Turkish drones, state-of-the-art drones, and Turkey has done extremely well in their drone technology. Turkey has an absolutely outstanding aviation industry. They've provided a lot of drones to Pakistan. Their flights have been landing routinely in Pakistan, and this should be a cause for concern for policymakers. If the drones can come in so deep, this is an indication that the Chinar Corps headquarters is not very far, or the Victor Force headquarters. So all of this does make a very, very dangerous situation, as they did, Rajdeep, even in Leh, in Ladakh.
I just want to make one caveat though. Gaurav and I were on air last night till midnight, and I just want to say, and perhaps do a bit of a mea culpa, and maybe we were in the studio, so please appreciate that it was an evolving situation. We spoke about F-16s being shot down, JF-17s Thunders being shot down. There were those kind of reports which, as has turned out, are not true, and are at least not proven at the moment.
Not proven at the moment.
We don't have confirmation on that. And purely as someone who's done this for years, I am apologetic. I want you to know that. It wasn't deliberate by any stretch of imagination. The last thing you want is to provoke a conflict. All we want to do is report it as we are seeing it. And that's what we'll try and do. We will try and put even more filters to make sure that the news you get is authentic. There was talk of a Rajouri terror attack. That was not confirmed. Turned out to be untrue in that case. I think we need to be more cautious. So I think from Gaurav and my perspective, I think we are very clear. We want to try and give you the news. We may have differing views on issues.
I agree with you.
But on the news itself, we want to be very careful, cautious, but we will try and make sure that we get the right news. And remember, it's our reporters who are on the ground, who are giving you really the real factual information. None of them are even prone to hyperbole, and all of them are in very, very difficult situations. Please appreciate the terrain in which our reporters are working at the moment. Also, I might add here, we haven't done what many of the Twitter social media factory did. They said there was a coup in Pakistan. Someone said a Pakistani pilot had been captured, that the Indian army had got into Islamabad. So we could claim that, look, we've tried, we've got a few things wrong, and I'm openly willing to concede that I will be more careful next time. But let's go to Kamaljeet Sandhu, who's joining us at the moment. Kamaljeet, you've been bravely there right through for the last couple of days. I met you in Srinagar as well. What are you seeing around you? We've just heard in Srinagar, Gaurav was making the point about the significance of these drone attacks targeting that Air Force base in Avantipura, which has been repelled.
Blast sounds are being heard in Srinagar at this point of time, but let me tell you, I'm at line of control and situation is no different. And it seems even in Avantipora in South Kashmir, which is an army base, this is where also loud sounds were heard and what we've been told is that the drones tried to actually attack that particular site, and it was not only fended off, it was neutralized, and at least 15-20 rounds were fired. So where we are, whatever drones we have sighted, they come in swarms, and this is where what we've seen is an immediate action of the air defense system, and those drones are really brought down. Now, is this sort of a mischief? That is a big question, because it seems that these particular drones are without the payload. Remember, the firing has not been done by the drones, or at least not been sighted by any of us at this point of time. But clearly there seems to be an escalation, because remember, this is what has happened just about yesterday. Today, again, multiple states, multiple cities where drones are being sighted. So this is a sort of a provocation coming in from Pakistan. They definitely have something in mind. And remember, the sort of statements coming in either from DG ISPR or from the defense minister, this is very clear that they want something more to come, especially from this particular situation. So there has been an escalation from Pakistan's side, because clearly they're not stopping at just about one particular evening. This is the second one where drones have been sent in. This is to create chaos and confusion. But meanwhile, what is happened is not just a coordinated blackout happening in different cities. There's a big security grid response happening to these particular drone attacks at this point of time. But clearly, no casualty, no damage reported so far. But the drones have been brought down one after the other. And what is being reported is both in Jammu Kashmir and Punjab, where multiple drone sightings seen in different locations, both at line of control and near the international border.
You know, Rajdeep, what's also very significant at this point of time was an infiltration attempt this morning, which was caught on camera. And according to the Border Security Force, these were a group of 7 Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists who were trying to infiltrate. They were spotted on camera through the handheld thermal imagers and neutralized. So there is threat not just of Pakistani drones, but Pakistani terrorists too.
And that's been a familiar practice that the Pakistanis have adopted, isn't it? That they've used cross-border shelling in the past to push in infiltration.
Yes.
And they've done it usually soon after the snows melt every year over the years in Jammu and Kashmir. They attempted it this morning, as Gaurav says, and that was foiled. So clearly Pakistan attempting to provoke India into escalating this conflict. The question is, how long can India then adopt this policy of restraint? It's been very restrained in terms of singling out terror infrastructure at the outset and giving measured retaliation subsequently. Of course, in TV channels, if I may add, people have gone on to Karachi port. We were, it is embarrassing at one level when you see some of the stuff done on TV channels, but the government of India has been far more restrained in making sure that their attacks have been proportionate, measured, and focused. I think,
and for effect. For example, taking down Pakistan's air defense system
in Lahore.
In Lahore, and at a cantonment this morning, which was confirmed officially by the government. And we are only giving out information that the government has officially confirmed that another air defense radar was taken down. And Rajdeep, this Pakistan cannot replace very quickly. So the effort is to not just degrade their warfighting capability. Should there be an escalation, then you punched a hole in Pakistan's defenses.
One of the points that Fareed Zakaria made, though, in that interview, which troubled me, is when he mentioned the fact that at the moment, the back-channel communication between India and Pakistan is non-existent. One of the advantages that we had in the past was an effective back-channel that existed at different levels between India and Pakistan. That's non-existent. So who's going to come and talk to the two countries? Really, the United States has almost washed its hands off. They want India and Pakistan to mutually stop this. Now, that's not easy in the circumstances, given that Pakistan is constantly provoking India. As we've been saying, Prime Minister Modi has met the NSA, has met Dr. S. Jaishankar, but that's going to be a big challenge going ahead. How do you achieve that kind of diplomatic backroom talks that can bring down the temperature? In a moment, I'll be joined by a 1971 war hero, Admiral Arun Prakash, will join us, one of India's most distinguished Navy admirals. But that is
and a fighter pilot who won a Veer Chakra in combat in that India-Pakistan war. He bombed Sargodha. He's like true war hero.
That's right. We'll be talking to him about how can we de-escalate, how does one deal with the situation at the moment, does one go up the kinetic action ladder? But that is a problem, isn't it, at the moment, Sandeep, because you've got a situation, India opposes the IMF loan to Pakistan. The breaking news that we are getting, remember, India abstains from voting at that IMF meeting. India has opposed an IMF loan to Pakistan. Remember, Pakistan has had over a dozen IMF loans as a bailout in recent times. India has questioned IMF aid over Pakistan's poor reform record, warns of misuse of funds for cross-border terrorism. India has highlighted Pakistan military's control over the economy, says repeated bailouts are risking the IMF's credibility. India has urged moral checks in global lending decisions. Now, that's an interesting way to look at it, because one of the ways that India has attempted to put pressure on Pakistan is use water as a weapon, keep the Indus Water Treaty in abeyance, and now trying to get the IMF also to put some check on Pakistan. Unlikely that Pakistan won't get that bailout since it had been cleared at different levels, but at least India has made a strong point that you cannot allow those funds then to be used to fund terror.
You know, two things here. IMF is not a charity. IMF cannot give money if that money, instead of going for the benefit of people of Pakistan, is fueling Pakistan's military jihad complex and is funding radical Islamist organizations like the Jaish-e-Mohammed, who incidentally, Rajdeep, you know better, was involved in the killing of Daniel Pearl, a wonderful journalist working for the Wall Street Journal, who was beheaded by Omar Saeed Sheikh and Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists. So Rajdeep, does that country deserve an IMF bailout? Clearly not. And that's Pakistan that says water is being used as a weapon. India is simply saying that we need that water for our people of Jammu and Kashmir, and it needs to be renegotiated so that it benefits us more. So, you know, it's not a weapon. It's something that needs to benefit our people more, Rajdeep.
Sunil Ji Bhatt and Aman Bhardwaj are with us. Aman, can you tell us what you're seeing around you at the moment? You're again in one of the blacked out areas along the border.
Yes, Rajdeep. Right now, there's from last 2 hours, there's a drone movement here in the sky, and there's a complete blackout in the city. So there are reports from the villages as well. There's a report from the village Khai Femeke in Firozpur, where 3 persons been injured after the object from the sky fell on the home, and after it caught fire, and a cylinder of the home or the other objects on the vehicle caught fire. That's what the police and the family of the one of the village Femeke in Firozpur, family and police both have confirmed. So there is a massive drone movement here in the sky, and after several intervals there's a sound of a siren and blasts in the sky as well. So people here are worried for the time being, and what next they are asking by the text, by the calls, and also police by regular intervals of time they are making rounds on the streets, on the roads of this Firozpur, because it's a border district, and among 6 other districts it's a crucial border area, because in 1971 as well this particular border Firozpur has witnessed 20 villages at the border line has witnessed the major escalations on the borderline. So it makes it very very crucial and very sensitive also if there's such movements of the drones in the sky and there's a blackout in the city, and there are incidents of fire and attacks in the villages that got fire, and some of the accidents that got fire by this drone activity as well, Rajdeep.
Okay. Also joining us, Sunil Ji Bhatt. Sunil, you've really gone through a difficult 24-48 hours. Has that drone firing that was around you a little while ago stopped?
Right now, I am at an undisclosed location in Jammu, and even now I can hear the sounds of siren, and intermittently explosions can also be heard. So that means there is some activity going on in the skies. I am relatively now at a safer location, but even now I can hear explosions taking place in the skies of Jammu. So it's clear that it's going to be a very long night, and Pakistan is. Pakistan is resorting to provocation after provocation, and earlier we used to see that Pakistan used to resort to shelling in the border towns, in border villages, but now even in Jammu city, drone activity is being witnessed, and we have already activated our air defense system, and with the help of that, we have been able to neutralize this threat. But for almost 20 to 30 minutes there was a lull, but now we are again hearing sounds of sirens, and intermittently we can also hear sounds of explosions here in Jammu city. And Rajdeep, I have also you've spoken to my sources. Pakistan has resorted to heavy shelling in the border areas, whether it's a line of control in Poonch district or even in Jammu district's Araspura sector. So civilian areas are being targeted by Pakistan. Pakistan is resorting to heavy shelling, and innocent people are being targeted, non-combatants are being targeted, and even now I can hear sounds of explosions intermittently. And it's very important to note that Pakistan's Defense Minister Khwaja Asif, in his latest interview to a news channel in Pakistan, has said that chances of de-escalation are now minimum, and full-fledged war is the only option. So Pakistan is rattled, it's frustrated, now it's issuing threats, and it's for last 2 days, we are witnessing that Pakistan is sending drones to create mayhem in Jammu and Kashmir, but our troops are on alert mode, and we have activated our air defense system. Pakistan is biting dust, and we are foiling the nefarious designs of the enemy.
Okay, we're getting our reporters to give us situations on the ground from different parts. Just to tell you that those images we are getting are deferred images. We've been very cautious not to use live images. That's from Khai Feme village, district Firozpur. On the border, an object fell on a house. The diffuse elements from the drone fell on their home, after which their home has caught fire. We keep saying this, innocents get caught. It's civilians who've suffered the most. There was the Ministry of External Affairs pointed out to a Christian-run, missionary-run school where people were the school was targeted by Pakistani artillery firing along the border, and people have lost their lives. There's a Gurdwara, Gurdwara where people have lost their lives. Two children have lost their life in that missionary school. So you've got a situation where civilians, innocent civilians, are losing their lives. Let's go to Gurdaspur at the moment along the Punjab border with Pakistan, where I'm joined by Maushmi Singh. I just want to tell you, Maushmi drove all night to be in Gurdaspur. She's quite remarkable in her energy. And I think, Maushmi, tell us what you've been seeing around you this night today.
Right, Rajdeep, we've been here in and around crisscrossing villages, and I can tell you at about when the blackout started, we started hearing a lot of sounds, and it was raining drones, almost 15 to 20 blasts we heard in the air. We spotted some, and all of them decimated by the Indian Army. And we've seen in this border district, there have been villages who have been really looking at this imminent war that's unfolding. They feel that the war is coming, but at the same time, there is a lot of resolve in them that they have to stand up to it. They are preparing for it. Even right now, there's a complete blackout in this entire area. We've also got our windows rolled up, and you spoke about driving all night. It's nothing, in fact, in front of the valor and the resilience that our forces have shown, Rajdeep. And almost matching that, and it's like a trickle effect. We've seen citizens in small villages, how they are gathering their energy, their stamina and courage to face whatever lies ahead. The security personnel, the civil staff, defense staff, just boosting their morale, and they're all up in, very, very strong spirits here in Gurdaspur and the entire belt.
You've got therefore an entire belt, Gaurav, from Rajasthan, Punjab, Jammu and Kashmir, which night after night for the last 72 hours have been witnessing blackouts and have been targeted. It's those in the border areas who tend to suffer the most every time these attacks take place.
Oh, absolutely, Rajdeep. I mean, look at this. It's 770 kilometers of the line of control from Jammu all the way to Leh that's now impacted. It's 3,500 kilometers of the international border between India and Pakistan that's impacted. And 24 airports being shut down, marketplaces shut down, these homes burning. It does impact the economy differently. But then there has to be a solution to dealing with Pakistan's state-sponsored radical Islamist terror, Rajdeep. And when you look at those images of Pakistan army attending funeral of terrorists of Jaish-e-Mohammed and Hizbul Mujahideen and Lashkar-e-Taiba, that military jihad complex in Pakistan has to be dealt with somewhere, Rajdeep, even if it means going up the escalation ladder or perhaps not going up that escalation ladder, Rajdeep, that may bleed Pakistan even more.
Should India go up the escalatory ladder or not? What lies ahead? I am joined at this moment by someone who, as Gaurav said, was a 1971 war hero, former naval chief. Admiral Arun Prakash joins me. Appreciate you joining us, sir. Admiral Prakash, we are seeing in the last 24 hours growing escalation in this India-Pakistan conflict. Pakistan using drones, missiles to target Indian military establishments. India in return neutralizing Lahore's air defense system, radar systems. How do you see what's happened over the last 24 hours? Are we seeing an inevitable escalation in this conflict, Admiral Prakash?
Well, escalation was something that should have been factored in right from the very beginning by our military planners, and I'm sure it has been. So India has delivered a message, a long overdue message, that this nonsense of so-called cross-border terrorism has gone on long enough, and it's time for the Pakistani deep state, that is the ISI and Pak army, to step back and stop it. So the message has been delivered in the form of attacks, kinetic attacks on 9 different locations, supposed to be hideouts or training establishments of these terrorist organizations. So that message has been sent across. Now it is up to Pakistan to acknowledge it and say, all right, we've got your message and we'll do something about it. On the other hand, Pakistan could well say that, all right, you attacked our homeland and we are going to respond. I mean, that's a step that must have been taken into account by our military planners when they launched these 9 strikes into POK and Pakistan.
But does this escalation now worry you, given what's at stake? You've said in a recent article that the initial wave of these kinetic attacks may need to be followed up with more attacks. And the public should be prepared for attrition, loss of life, and the distinct possibility of escalation. Are you worried that this could now spiral out of control?
Well, it is entirely up to Pakistan, because India had suffered for long enough, for far too long, from these so-called cross-border terror attacks, which were actually acts of war on the part of Pakistan. They were raising, training, and launching these terrorists from their territory into our territory, which is actually an act of war. So we've tolerated it for many decades. But after Uri in 2016, we sent a message. Then another message was sent in 2019, the airstrike on Balakot, in the hope that the Pak military and the Pak ISI would realize that they had overstepped the limit. But apparently that message didn't go across. And for the last 5 or 6 years, they've continued with these activities. So this was yet another message, a much, much stronger message. And this time, it was not just meant to be punishment, but a message of deterrence, that you've gone so far, but no further. Now it is, as I said, it is entirely up to Pakistan to accept the message or to raise the level and come back at us. This is hostility, this is war. And once you start kinetic action, you have to be prepared for escalation. And escalation is also, it depends how many steps on the escalatory ladder you want to go. I mean, we've attacked them, they may respond. And then do you want to respond again? But I think India has very sensibly sent across a message that this is non-escalatory. We've not attacked any military targets. We've not attacked civil targets. We've only focused on the terror organization, and that's the message we want to send. So I think it's now time for the for the Pak deep state to sit down in a huddle and decide that, look, enough is enough, and let's put a stop to it.
Tough words from you, Admiral. Once you go on the path of kinetic action, you're effectively saying you're at war with each other. But the big question is, how do you step off the escalatory ladder? Is that going to become more and more difficult to step off this ladder as Pakistan provokes, Admiral Prakash?
Yes, it is. And I think we should be prepared for that. I mean, air defense, if you are using aircraft to launch attacks, then their air defenses are our adversary. So taking out their air defense is a precaution that we had to take. But escalation is inevitable, Rajdeep. I mean, the two sides, the politicians, the statesmen, I don't know if there are any statesmen on the Pakistani side, have to decide that how far are you going to go? When are you going to call the international community and say, all right, this has gone far enough, it's got to stop? Because at the end of the tunnel, you have to remember that both countries are nuclear armed. And if this escalation goes out of control, then the ultimate end could be a nuclear detonation. And Pakistan has been known to be making irresponsible statements. I think very recently their defense minister made some wild statements. So, I mean, that is unthinkable. A nuclear exchange is unthinkable. So it has to stop well short of that. And possibly some intervention, some talks, negotiations at some stage have to be undertaken.
You know, you mentioned the nuclear issue is unthinkable, but the concern will be it's one thing to establish conventional or re-establish conventional deterrence, Admiral, vis-a-vis Pakistan. The other worry is, how do you ensure that an irresponsible Pakistani army state leadership is deterred from using this last option of nuclear weapons? You know, there is that overwhelming concern of some kind of miscalculation. How do you stop this situation from escalating beyond a point and at the same time sending a tough message to Pakistan?
Well, for 26 years, our nuclear deterrent has been adequate to, and our nuclear policy has been adequate to deter Pakistan from any thought of using nuclear weapons. So deterrence has held fast for 26 years. And I'm quite sure that it will continue to do so, because for all the irrational, wild statements that they seem to make, I mean, self-preservation is a very powerful force. So if Pakistan starts anything, even at the tactical level, the response they will get, India has stated quite clearly in its doctrine that any use of nuclear weapons, whether tactical, strategic, whatever, will invite an overwhelming and a devastating response. So that is on the table, that any thought of using a nuclear weapon, no matter how small or big, where Pakistan will lose a city or a large chunk of its population. So their pretense of being irrational, I think, is a big act. No country wants to be, and lose a huge chunk of its population. So I am fairly confident that we will not reach that stage. Now, how to get off ramps from this building up of tension on both sides, where to get off gracefully, is something that the statesmen, maybe, negotiations, third-party negotiations, something like that has to be done. We've sent a clear message, a kinetic message, that we don't want any more cross-border terrorism. The guilty party is Pakistan. It is up to them either to accept this message and say, all right, we'll think about it, or to escalate it and then decide how far they want to escalate, because if they escalate, they will get harder and harder knocks from the Indian side. That is inevitable.
One final question, Admiral Prakash. We've seen in the last couple of days, Pakistan use artillery fire to target innocent civilians. India has responded in kind, not just the armed forces. We've seen our air power striking Pakistani terror bases, Muridke, Bawalpur, other places. What about naval power? You're seen as one of India's most distinguished naval admirals. Is naval power also an option if Pakistan chooses to escalate beyond a point?
Well, yes, if it comes to that, I mean, if it's a graduated escalation, then the naval power can certainly, because naval power takes a little time to have effect, because it will affect the economy. Now, let's remember, when we think of Pakistan doing reckless things, that they're a much smaller country, smaller population, economy which is in deep, deep trouble. They're taking loans only to pay off other loans. They have ethnic problems, huge internal domestic problems. So they are not in a state to be overly aggressive. And if this whole thing, this hostility stretch out for a longer time, then pressure can be brought to bear on them from seawards also. Their economic, their energy, their trade, food, etc. Much of it comes from abroad by sea. So the Indian Navy can swing into action. Even before that, the Indian Navy can also take kinetic action, special forces, they've got long-range missiles, etc. So it all depends on what our government and our military planners have got in store for them. There must be a planned escalatory, calibrated step 1, step 2, step 3. So the Navy will have a role to play if it comes to that, but in a longer term.
Okay, Admiral Prakash, for speaking so plainly and clearly to us, a 1971 war hero. Appreciate you joining us. Very clear, Admiral Prakash, speaking with sort of clarity. The big breaking news, Pakistan carrying out raids with hundreds of drones, more than 20 cities of Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab, Rajasthan, Gujarat, they are being engaged according to army sources. Are you all surprised with the sheer range, Sandeep, that has been put in place here? 20 cities across about 4 states at the moment?
Not at all, Rajdeep. In fact, this is what Pakistan has been doing over the last 2 nights. It's building up this pattern of predictability of drone, attacks, strikes all across the length and breadth of the northern and western borders, over 3,000 kilometers. It's demonstrating the fact that it can target all of these locations with explosives, and possibly that is something that we should wait for and anticipate and take remedial measures, corrective measures immediately. And this is what Pakistan seems to be doing, this, by replacing small arms and artillery fire with drones, it's taken up the entire tension on the India-Pakistan border to the next level, Rajdeep.
Gaurav, your sense, has Pakistan between last night and today taken it to another level?
So last night it was 36 different cities, 400 attempts by Pakistan, drones, rockets and missiles. Today, the night is still young, Rajdeep. This will go on till late at night, perhaps early in the morning. But early in the morning is when our systems will be absolutely alert, because they could either try rockets, missiles, or maybe a fighter jet raid. God forbid, because there will be consequences should Pakistan seek to escalate. But this is not yet escalation, Rajdeep. When you look at the escalation ladder, either kinetic or non-kinetic, this is still preparation for that escalation. You're just trying to assess each other. You're just trying to assess who's stronger, where, what will my next move be. So in that chessboard, both the armies are now putting their pieces together, and then the move will happen, and that will be very sudden, and then the escalation may just be very sudden. But before that, if you also notice, Rajdeep, systematically certain assets of Pakistan, 1, are being taken down. 2, as Admiral Prakash was telling you in that interview that he just did with him, that there are other ways to bring pressure on Pakistan, and the economic pressure is the biggest. 25th bailout from IMF, 25th bailout. What if that is stalled? The moment that is stalled, Pakistan's war-fighting ability comes down several notches.
Won't be easy to stall it, but India has made a point at that IMF meeting there today. The fear that the funds that are given to Pakistan are then used to fund terror is a very strong point India has made at that meeting. Aman Bhardwaj is still with us, as are Ashutosh Mishra, Maushmi Singh, our reporters have fanned out. Aman, what are you hearing around you? Has the noise died down, these drone explosions that have been taking place for the last couple of hours?
Exactly, Rajiv. From last couple of minutes, the sky is calm now. So there's no any such drone movement right now, because initially at 8 p.m. the way it started, so it was just very tense for the people here in Firozpur. After which it lasted for 2.5 hours after several intervals of time. But now the recent development, how this diffused drone injured 3 people in Khai Khemeke village of Firozpur, and they've been taken to the hospital as well. SSP Bhupinder Singh, who's the Firozpur SSP, has reached the spot. He reached the hospital as well, and he made the confirmation that how from the remaining of the drone that got diffused in the sky, it fell on the house, and the house then caught the fire, and their vehicle, their things in the house, they were burning, and they got injured themselves as well. So all the 3 were admitted diverted to the Firozpur hospital. But these activities are making somehow people more worried about the situation, that are they safe, are any object coming from sky to their home as well. So that is the reason that this blackout is helping people around, because their home was told to be that the light was on in their village of their home. So that was the reason that somehow it caught fire, or the incident took place. But the whole story is still awaited, that how they've been injured, and what is the scenario in the village as well. Because here in Punjab, Rajdeep, when any of the house in the village or the city got caught up by some of the accident or incident like this, so people are very sentimental and they're very connected to each other. So they are very concerned that how come this house got injured, got affected, how people got injured. Today we visited Bathinda as well, where the missile hit the farms, and people their home was very affected with the shells from the missile. So these sort of things, and people from their villages coming to their home, they were asking, inquiring the present scenario, their health, their condition, because most of the people here in rural Punjab or Firozpur or border area are villagers, are farmers, and they tend to witness these sort of things. They have also witnessed 1971 war. They tend to witness this the flood situation here. So they are very connected to each other, and this sort of scenario make emotional dent on their psyche, that are they safe on the border area or not. But the drone activity you see here in the sky, you'll see complete blackout. The sky is calmed down. There's no drone movement as such now, the way it started, but still it's concerning, making situation sensitive and crucial, that is that drone movement will be there after a couple of minutes, or will it be it's done for today.
I'm just going to stop you, Aman.
From last two.
I'm going to stop you, Aman, at the moment. I'm going to go to some of our other correspondents as well. Let me go to Maushmi Singh. Maushmi, as Aman is saying, there is fear naturally among the villagers there because of these drone attacks. Tell us when you've been talking to them, is that a dominant emotion, fear?
Rajdeep, I've been to 3-4 villages today, and I can tell you that this side of Punjab, the villagers are really prepared. They've seen during the Kargil war how tension prevailed, and most of them talk about 1971, the elderly, and say that we are training our young ones not to be scared, and more so they are rooted to their village. They know that they have no other home but this one, and that's why I see a preparedness, a mental preparedness when we talk about war or a long haul as far as this prevailing tension is concerned. I've seen ex-military personnels training the kids if there are splinter bombs or if there is a blast, what to do in an emergency. We spoke to homemakers today, and they've been stacking food, they've been stacking medical medicines and a lot of ration to ensure that they can survive for 2 months. But the underlying factor is that they do appeal that there should be some talk and some sense prevailing as far as Pakistan is concerned. They know that Pakistan is a repeat offender, but they hope for peace, that there should be talk across the table. But if Pakistan doesn't learn from its mistakes and learn the lesson, then they know that India will retaliate, and they are battle hardened. They are ready for that. That if things come to a knot, we are with the army,
right,
and we will help them out shoulder to shoulder.
Okay, Gaurav, before we go to Kamalji, do you want to explain the air defense systems that India is using to neutralize Pakistan drones? Gaurav's going to explain that for you. Take a look.
So what was India's weapon of choice? In fact, there were multiple, and this is actually India's big strength that Pakistan lacks. Made in India weapons, made in Russia weapons. I'm telling you about all of these in one go. So I want to begin by first talking about the S-400 systems. Take a look at the world's most advanced air defense shield that India has, the S-400 system. And why is the S-400 perhaps the best long-range air defense systems in the world? It's better, arguably, and that's what those who use it say, better than America's THAAD system, the Terminal High Altitude Air Defense System of America. So the S-400 system, as you can see, is road mobile. It's based on these vehicles that can quickly be moved from one area to another. One are these canisters, which have the missiles. The other is the command and control structure. And the third are those radars. So they scan multiple targets simultaneously up to 600 kilometers away and can destroy them up to 400 kilometers away. What are those targets that they can destroy? They can destroy an incoming aircraft. They can destroy an incoming cruise missile, a ballistic missile, an unmanned aerial vehicle. Multiple targets can be tracked 400 kilometers away. Targets can be destroyed. 160 targets can be shot and destroyed. 72 targets can be engaged simultaneously at various ranges. So this is an amazing system. No one in the world has better. India ordered 5 of these systems at a cost of 39,000 crore rupees. 3 have arrived. The other 2 hopefully should arrive soon. Let me now tell you about the Akash indigenous air defense missile shield. Now it's a medium-range surface-to-air missile defense system. So we have the long-range LR-SAMs, we have the MR-SAMs, which is medium-range surface-to-air missile, and this has been developed by the Defense Research and Development Organization, DRDO, along with BEL, BDL. They've worked together on this. The ranges are between 45 kilometers to 70 kilometers. Again, they can engage multiple targets simultaneously, packed with explosives, and it has its own guidance system, which incidentally is made in India. Let me now tell you about the Zu-23 systems, the Shilka self-propelled system with 423 mm autocannons. It has a radar. Again, this is made in India, and I want to tell you so much more about this system because it's been developed by India in a way that it can, and modified by India in such a way that it can take out threats up to 20 kilometers away. And the rapid speed of fire of ammunition, 4,000 rounds it can fire per minute, upgraded with proximity fuse ammunition, advanced fire control to take out even small drones, lethal for UAVs. It can take down a helicopter, an enemy helicopter that's coming in your way, and light armored units are using this. Let me also tell you about the L-70. That's a 40 mm anti-aircraft gun. Again, modified domestically. It has radars and sensors, includes electro-optic and auto-tracking gear. Fires, can you imagine? 240 to 330 rounds per minute. Effective range, once again, up to 4 kilometers away. So some of these are much older weapons and systems, but they have been modified within the country. They can actually saturate the airspace with predictive firepower.
At a crucial briefing earlier this evening by Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri, Colonel Sophia Qureshi and Wing Commander Vyomika Singh, India detailed how it had thwarted Pakistan's attack last night. Listen in.
On the intervening night of 8th-9th May 2025, Pakistan military carried out multiple violations of Indian airspace along the entire western border with an intent to target military infrastructure. Pakistan military also resorted to firing of heavy caliber weapons along the line of control. Along the international border and line of control, drone intrusions were attempted from Leh to Sar Creek at 36 locations with approximately 300 to 400 drones. Indian Armed Forces brought down a number of these drones using kinetic and non-kinetic means. The possible purpose of these large-scale aerial intrusions were to test the AD systems and gather intelligence. Forensic examination of the drone debris is being undertaken. Preliminary reports suggest them to be of Aziz Guard Songa drone of Turkey.
And joining us now on this India Today special broadcast is Dr. Tara Kartha, former director of the National Security Council and an expert on matters Pakistan. Ma'am, welcome with Sandeep Punithan stays with us on this broadcast. Ma'am, what do you make of Pakistan's drone probes once again today? They've targeted several cities, virtually probe missions quite like yesterday. What is Pakistan attempting to do in your appreciation?
I think this might sound a little odd, but I think they are reserving their fire. There's a lot more they could have done in this interim period, which they haven't done. I mean, to us sitting here, because we are unused to this, right? We are unused to anything at all, like anywhere close to this happening. But if they are, then they are in it for the long haul, or it's a continuous nuisance value which they will inflict on you over the long period of time. These are the two options they have. But then what is coming up, as you know, is the IMF meeting, which has, IMF has its own, what shall I say, its own parameters, its own, what is the word? What it's supposed to do. It cannot, by its charter, fund a country which is at war. That is, I mean, you read the IMF charter. It says sound economic and stable policies. Is that what Pakistan is doing now?
But it's very interesting. It's very interesting, Doctor. The fact is, India has abstained from voting. I just read Jairam Ramesh has tweeted saying India should have voted against Pakistan. And he's tweeted strongly saying this was an opportunity to say no to a loan to Pakistan. Now, we don't know whether they'll get the loan or not, but are you linking that to what we are seeing over the last couple of days? I mean, you seem to be suggesting that Pakistan is in for the long haul. Now, that's worrying at one level. Are you saying every day they're going to try and do these drone attacks? There surely must come a time when they realize that it's not getting them anywhere, or is the attempt to provoke India into a wider conflict?
See, that's what I've been saying on your channel, that they have been trying, the whole pattern of events has been trying to push you into a conflict. And we've been very, very careful. We are going step by careful step, and they're trying to goad you. But as of the last, maybe, I mean, since this is a 24-hour developing thing, I'm wondering if I get the sense they're holding back their fire. They're not using their top drones. You see, so if they are not using it, either they feel it's not yet time, or they're not willing to escalate. But till date, from the date of the Pakistan Army's chief, that ridiculous speech, to the Pahalgam attack, to the events as of now, I don't so far see a single step back. So the only assumption...
That's an important point, that they're not taking a step back. Sandeep, how are you seeing this? Are you seeing this as a gradual escalation day by Pakistan to goad India into a wider conflict, India showing restraint?
Absolutely, Rajdeep. And I completely agree with Dr. Tara Karta's assessment of the situation. Pakistan seems to be holding its high-end drones as any military would do. They would not expend it for the real conflict if it should break out. So what they're sending out on these probing missions are really the low-end stuff, the cheap Chinese drones that, a few $1,000s, the kind that are used by professionals. DJI Mavic kind of drones, the same kind of drones that they use to transport drugs and ammunition into India, in Punjab and in Jammu and Kashmir. That is the kind of probing missions that they're sending out these drones for, to test our defenses. And of course, they don't want to use any of their top-level, high-level, the cutting-edge Turkish drones, the military-grade drones, that they want to keep aside for a contingency which could unfold in the next couple of days. But, like I said earlier, Rajdeep, this is what they're building up, a predictable pattern of activity, drone activity, possibly to lull us into some kind of complacency and create some kind of a smoke screen through which they could then punch in fighter aircraft or cruise missiles or what have you. But it clearly demonstrates one thing, Rajdeep, that, if you've seen the statements that have been coming out of India's side over the three big statements that Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri made over 3 days, every one of those statements has an element of de-escalation built into them. But despite every such statement, the Pakistanis have chosen only to escalate, to continue with these kind of attacks, these kind of probing missions, sending drones into Indian airspace. And they're very clearly demonstrating their intent to play this in the long, play this game over the next couple of days, Rajdeep.
But, if I may, Rajdeep, Dr. Tara Kartha, Pakistan does not have the kind of funds that are required to be in a sustained conflict, or is Pakistan being bankrolled, the way Ukraine was being bankrolled to fight Russia with weapons being given by NATO? Are weapons being given to Pakistan, as we very clearly see, from their air defense system to their fighter jets, to their long-range missiles, to their drones, either by China or by Turkey? And India made it very clear today that India knows they're getting their drones from Turkey. So Turkey is playing a very dirty game here as far as India is concerned, and China has been playing a game which is subpar for a very long time. So are we then actually in a way fighting China through Pakistan?
That's a very interesting question. As far as I can only go by evidence. Their weapons have come from Pakistan for years. So has their nuclear capability. So has their missile capability. That's been going on for years. Say in the last 10 days, what have we seen? We've seen statements supportive of Pakistan from China. We've seen some excellent intelligence from Pakistan. I don't know where that's coming from. So I'm just giving you the facts as I see them. They predicted your attacks 2 days ahead of time. And some other aspects as well. Their drones are the reason that the missiles which were supplied to them, the P-18s, I think.
The PL-15, the long-range air-to-air missile.
Yeah. I've heard there was a so-called calculated leak which I saw. I think it's a calculated leak which said that the missile supplied is not in the full range. So let's see where that goes. I honestly don't think China would want us to go to open war. But this kind of debilitating drone attacks, they'll be okay with. So that much we can go on. But there is also two interesting aspects. One is they've talked of the recent IMF report has talked of a 38% increase in remittances. Who gets 38% increase in remittances? That's amazing. Number two is that in our exercises of going through the Pak defense budget, the economic budget throughout the thing, I remember we saw one footnote, that was all, which said military loans to Pakistan from China, I forget how many billions it was just a footnote. Then again, we went through the whole budget. I couldn't find where that money was. So
very interesting, Rajdeep.
So there is this conspiracy theory that's been doing the rounds about the China factor.
Yep.
I asked that to Fareed Zakaria as well. Fareed felt that China has much to lose by getting the two countries also drawn into conflict, even though he also reminded us that India has so much more to gain from peace at the moment than Pakistan does. You've got a virtual basket case on one side in terms of its economy, and you've got another country which is poised to perhaps take full advantage of the turbulence that is taking place in global economies at the moment. And therefore, this is a moment for India to maybe find a way to get the Pakistanis back on track to ensure that they do not allow these elements within Pakistan, their army state leadership, to try and derail the efforts that are being made to somehow de-escalate, or indeed to ensure that India is allowed to take full advantage of its position in the world economy. So I think the next few days, this China factor, I mean, who is funding this entire Pakistan campaign is going to be asked.
And whether India can actually outthink and outdo them in the manner in which some of the war efforts have gone on so far. Because remember, if Pakistan is trying to provoke India into escalation, Rajdeep, don't you think the Narendra Modi government has succeeded in not being provoked into an escalation? They've succeeded in striking the terror, launch pads, training camps, headquarters, struck at their defenses, and yet that escalation hasn't happened.
I think the challenge is, can kinetic action and strategic restraint coexist?
Oh, absolutely.
Can you use your moments for restraint, and can you use your moments for kinetic action? and can you choose them wisely? Dr. Kanta, we've run out of time. Good to have you on the show and throwing up some interesting observations there. Sandeep, wonderful to get all your insights. Thank you very much. And Gaurav and I have gone through 2 hours without arguing with each other, which is quite an achievement.
Well, you know, it's absolutely, but I agree with everything you say anyways.
You and I had a dispute, had a debate over whether Kashmir was at the heart of this entire, that the long-term solution was in ensuring peace in Kashmir. And of course, that has been picked up by right-wing Twitter armies to suggest that Gaurav has put me in my place. Maybe he has. But either way, I think it is my belief that eventually the long-term solutions lie in ensuring peace in the valley. And we can discuss those solutions at another day. But at the moment, the focus is on Pakistan's attempt to try and provoke India and how India has consistently, over the last few days, resisted those pressures to allow this conflict to escalate. We've had a pretty difficult night for those living on the border once again. Our thoughts and prayers at the end of the day are with those people. Whether you're in Gurdaspur, Avantipora, Poonch, Rajouri, Arispura, Uri, these are the places, Amritsar, these are the border towns, cities, villages where people have had to face the brunt of these drone attacks. It is unacceptable when innocent tourists first are targeted in Pahalgam, and now you are having innocent villagers. Why should someone in a Gurdwara have to suffer in the way they did in Poonch, or indeed in a school, a missionary school in the area? That is unacceptable. Pakistan needs to wake up somewhere and realize whatever you're doing, you are ending up only discrediting yourself by targeting innocent civilians. That is not the way civilized societies act. But we leave it at that. Thank you all very much for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good to be here with you.